Yes, indeed, the sounds of Captain Dan from the seas to the streets and ship to ship. His new album is available right now, and I'm having the link posted in the IRC channel, assuming Cooked Auto is awake. And if he isn't, well, all I can say is, wake up! Are you awake yet? I certainly hope so. But yeah, check it out. You can head over to, I believe it's CD Baby has them in stock. Yes, indeed. cdbaby.com/CD/Captain Dan 3. His album is $9.99. Big bargain. I also recommend his previous album, which was quite frankly awesome. Rhymes of the Hip Hop Mariners. That's actually my favourite album of the lot. Go check that out. It has Sea Monsters, which is the best track ever made by anyone, as well as the WoW Radium-inspired Dead Mind's Battle. Yes, indeed. Captain Dan, fantastic. Go buy his albums. I believe some of them are now on iTunes as well. Now, less of the shillin' and more of the illin'. I could do this. I'll be really good at it. I actually left my guild a few days ago. This happens quite a lot, sadly, for various reasons. Although, I must say that this time was especially unfortunate. Because this wasn't because the guild had done anything wrong. And this wasn't because I'd done anything wrong. This was because I have no inclination whatsoever to raid at the moment. And of course the question being, well, why? Why do I have no inclination to raid? Why has it got to the stage where I don't even want to log in to do raiding encounters? Why is it that I don't want to sit down and take the time and get all these epics and whatever? Well, I'm going to give you a very, very simple answer. I have nothing to shoot for. No goals whatsoever. And what happens when I have no goals? What happens when anyone has no goals? Well, the answer to that is incredibly simple. They stagnate, and they get bored, and they wither, and they die. Why does that happen? Well, because most people, most sane, normal people, are goal-driven. And that stays in the, that's in gaming as well as everything else. Particularly in MMOs. MMOs, you have to have a goal. Always got to have a goal, whatever it might be. Funnily enough, when I stopped raiding, I'm like, oh lord, what am I going to do? Well, I had a goal at that point, and that was go get my epic flying mount. So I went and got my epic flying mount. Now what? I could go to Traveler's Tundra Mammoth. Oh wait, I have no interest in owning one of those. I go to some achievements. No, actually I don't care about the achievements, because the vast majority of them are complete bollocks. The ones that aren't, well, it's like, hey, replay the same content, only slightly different. It's the 7.5 Raiders thing. Why is it? Someone explain to me why it is that this show has been so damn prophetic. It's nothing to do with me. I am not an especially intelligent guy. I'm not especially good at WoW. I mean, I'm better than most, but that's not saying much. It's like saying that, most toddlers are better at reading than a pile of kittens. Yes, they are, but that's not saying much. Doesn't mean they're masters at it. They just happen to be better than the pile of kittens. I am better at raiding than the pile of kittens. WoW's equivalent of the pile of kittens. Useless. Absolutely useless. Suppose you could bake them in a pie, but wouldn't be so tasty, not a lot of meat on them. That's why you wait for them to grow up into big cats. Anyway. Without the goal, I have no inclination to continue to play that particular character. And that bothers me more than anything, because you know what? To my left, I have a copy of an expansion that you may have heard of by the name of Wrath of the Lich King, and for that expansion I paid 25 British pounds. There are various other things I can get with 25 British pounds. Many things, indeed. Now, here's the thing. I bought that not too long ago. Not that many months ago. And I would have expected that expansion, bearing in mind there's 2 years development time, bare minimum behind it, to last me a little bit longer than 2.5 months. Seriously. That's not an acceptable length of time. Not by a long shot. Not even close. But you can compare it to TBC. Oh look, there's more content there. You can compare it, in fact, to any MMO's expansion. Any of them. EverQuest 2, prime example, releases a lot of expansions. There's always more than 3 months of content in those. Any other MMO that's released expansions, the Mines of Moria, for instance, brand new expansion from Lotro. People haven't even got close to finishing everything that's in there yet. Apparently some amazing raid content. So why is it that we've beaten everything in 2.5 months? And now we have no goals? You know, you got to look to exactly who you're going to blame for me leaving my guild and wanting to retire my level 80 tier 7.5 mage. Well, there's a very obvious answer to that. You can look at it as like, well, is it Total Biscuit's fault? Should I be swallowing the content I've been given in the form of achievements? Well, the answer is no, actually, I shouldn't. Because they're a very poor substitute for actual, real raiding content. We've never had this situation before where achievements have been in the game. It's like, hey, there's content, achievements. No, actually. Have a look at achievement. You know, achievements are not something that Blizzard just came up with. They've been in a lot of other games. And there are plenty of people that didn't care for them there either. Like, for instance, I have an Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 introduced achievements. I'm sure they were in games before, but they certainly made them genuinely widespread and, more importantly, standardized. Every game on the 360 has to have achievements in it. Now, and they all have to add up to 1,000 points or whatever. And you can gain gamer score. And it's pretty much just like the achievement system in WoW. It's exactly the same. Some achievements are worth more points than others. There's plenty of achievements that are like worth 10 points, whereas there's another achievement that's just as hard, also worth 10 points. It's pretty much exactly the same thing. Yeah? You can compare your achievements with other people. It's ripped off of Xbox Live completely in almost every possible respect. And that's okay, because it's not a bad system. The thing is, lots of Xbox 360 gamers do not give a toss about achievements, and I am one of them. You know, someone was complaining, saying, oh, why do you only have 100 gamer points on your Windows Live account? It's like, well, because I don't really care. My other account has, like, I don't know, 27,000 points. Have I gone for them? No, it's just because I play a lot of games. I could have had way more than that. But I don't care. They're not content. I don't bother to squeeze every last ounce of juice out of a game, just for the sake of doing it. I hear these people like, oh, well, you know, I've finished this game like 5 times. I'm so bored, but I've got to get the last of the achievements. Why? Why are you obliging yourself to do that? Will someone please tell me? Because last time I checked, I bought games to have a bit of fun. And when I stopped having fun, I gave them to the nice man at the store and said, I would like to trade this in for something else. Or I put them on eBay. Or I shelve them and never speak of them again. That's content. That is finite content. Now, if you want a game that has more than finite content, and of course WoW's got finite content, it'll always have finite content, but it's expected to have more content than the average game, because you're paying for it on a monthly basis. And MMOs don't tend to last very long if you run out of things to do within the first couple of months. They tend to die off. I cite as my example Age of Conan. Oh, we're past level 20, suddenly there's nothing to do. There's entire swathes of level bands in Age of Conan that have nothing to do whatsoever, and only the first 20 levels were really properly finished anyway. Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And of course, the game died. What a shocker. Why is it that WoW hasn't? I can't figure out why people are still hanging around in WoW at the moment. I understand that they're waiting for the next big thing. But what upsets me more than anything is that when I get to do that next big thing, it's not going to be with my guild that I was actually enjoying playing with. They're good lads. Good guild. A fan of the vast majority of players within that guild. But I'm not going to be a part of that because that guild requires me to raid. And I don't want to. Because there is no progress. And it's not even just farming things. It is face-rolling things. There is nothing challenging. At all. The main raid encounters, of course, to be found in Nexramas, the only properly sized instance. I mean, how ridiculous is that? We have not seen the like since the start of WoW almost 5 years ago. One instance. One! And the rest are just randomly small encounters that can be rolled over in 5 to 10 minutes. They are not real raid content. Yeah, it's okay to have a couple of the smaller boss encounters as long as there's plenty of big raid instances to sink your time into and progress to be made. Because if there is not a whole lot of fun and prizes to be won and progress to be made and fun house, you will not stay in the game if you are the kind of player that I am. And yeah, I don't represent the entire player base. I never will. And I'm fine with that, because the entire player base consists of a lot of people who are incredibly dumb. Why would I want to be associated with those people? I wouldn't. I just can't fathom why you would release a game with so little content. And you keep going on and rattling on about, oh, Ulduar's going to be so great. I think I really think they've got to the point where they think they can just get away with it. Because people will come back for Ulduar. And they will. And I admit I will come back for Ulduar. I will. Unless Blizzard does something monumentally stupid in the meantime. Like, I don't know, endorses gold selling. Where, from a moral standpoint, I have to stop playing the damn game. Because I cannot stand their principles or whatever, or does something that they said they wouldn't do, and I have to morally say I cannot continue to play this game because my principles are offended by what you are doing. I will still come back for Ulduar, and so will everybody else. They know that. They are absolutely 100% confident that that will happen. And even if Ulduar tanks, people will come back for the next thing. And the next thing. They might even leave whatever game they migrate to. If they decide to migrate en masse, they will go do it. They'll migrate en masse. And then they'll say, oh, well, we like this game, but they brought something back in WoW. Should we go back? I miss WoW. Well, we had so many fun times with WoW. Let's go back. How many times has that happened to you? How many times has that happened to people that you know? Happened to me a lot. I went to go play Warhammer Online for a while. Shame the leveling absolutely sucked, otherwise I'd probably still be playing it. But the thing is, I don't think I'd have an inactive WoW account. WoW is just not something you can... If you're invested quite a bit of time in it, and it had as much enjoyment in it as I have, it's not something you can really abandon so easily. And I think Blizzard knows this, and as a result they're getting complacent. The only way that this is going to change is if a significant competitor does come along. And that's very unlikely. There's been plenty of games that have tried to emulate the success of WoW and failed miserably because they've just failed to grasp what it is that made WoW successful. And those who've tried to emulate it, you've come and like, well, why don't we just play WoW? Because WoW's been around for longer, has more content, and is not filled with bugs, so we don't have to buy another game. So it's like a catch-22 situation. If you make your game too hardcore, and you make it too different, people aren't going to leave WoW for it. But if you make it too similar to WoW, people aren't going to leave WoW for it either. Why? Because they don't want to invest in a new box for a new game that's probably buggy and might suck. And if they say, well, why don't I just play WoW? Because WoW is like this game, but better. I mean, you'd have to meld the most bizarre experience together. Something unique in the way that it's accessible as WoW, but so different at the same time. How? How could you do that? It boggles the mind. I don't think I could design a game like that. I don't think I would have the requisite knowledge. I don't think anyone else does either. And that's unfortunate. It really is. Because there just isn't anything to do anymore. And that's saddening. And I don't mind dropping my sub and resubbing and all that kind of thing, but I wish I didn't have to. You know, I don't really want to go play another game. I kind of like WoW. I imagine the rest of you do as well. We all like WoW. We all like playing WoW. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It doesn't matter how much I complain about the state of the game. Still like it. Still wish it every success in the world. I still think the raiding game at least was the best thing ever. In comparison to a lot of other titles. And yet now it just isn't. Not anymore. Because there's nothing to aim for. There is no progress to be had. And no, replaying the same instance over and over again to get some mandatory badge of honor is not good enough. You need new challenges and new bosses to conquer. Not the same boss upside down on your head, hands tied behind your back, eyes closed, mouth open, stuffed full of rats. That's not an achievement. That's a waste of time. It's replaying the same stuff over and over again. And you know what? A lot of people don't like that because it's boring. A little badge of honor ain't enough. I'm not in Cub Scouts anymore. And I don't feel the need to acquire as many badges as possible. It's a waste of my time. My name is Total Biscuit, and you're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. Rantier than thou. so I might say. I'll be right back after this song, folks. Enjoy.